Thank you. Thank you.
US President Donald Trump has officially confirmed that he reimbursed his lawyer, who paid a porn star to hush up her claims of an affair. The president's lawyer, Michael Cohen, has previously said he paid Stephanie Clifford $130,000 of hush money shortly before the 2016 election. Ms. Clifford, who goes by the name Stormy Daniels, alleges that she and Mr. Trump had sex in a hotel room in 2006. A new financial disclosure filed yesterday shows the president paid Mr. Cohen over $100,000 of unspecified expenses in 2016. Jordan, how serious is this for the president, I should say?
Well, I guess it'll depend on to what degree it reveals his lying. So I can't tell yet. I mean, part of me thinks it might be better for the political system in general to leave the private lives of the leaders alone. I mean, that's more of a proclivity in Britain, I think, to leave the private lives of politicians alone. But if it indicates well, family life, anyways, it seems, compared to the United States.
Right, but what does it say about Donald Trump?
Well,
I mean,
he says he has strange taste in women.
Right,
that would be the starters.
And you talked about lying and whether there is an allegation here that he has lied. If he denies having had an affair, why pay hush money?
Well, that's a complicated problem, because sometimes people pay hush money so that a problem just goes away, even if there isn't guilt involved, although it does raise the specter of some sort of involvement. Sometimes it's easier to pay someone who's harassing you to go away than it is to do anything else about them. Now, I don't know whether that's an appropriate tactic or not, but I can certainly see why it might be one that beckons to you.
What does it say to you about Donald Trump?
Well, I think in the end, with these things, it's always the cover-up that gets you. It's not so much the deed, it's the trying to sort of lie your way out of it. But the big thing will come down to whether he's breached federal law with these funds coming from his campaign funds. And sometimes, you know, it's a bit like the Al Capone thing. Sometimes it's a technicality that actually can get you into lots of trouble. But the fascinating thing about Stormy Daniels is that she is a woman that will just not be silent. She's a sort of female version of Trump in many ways, this sort of blonde, larger than life, I'm not going away, I'm not going to be.
No, she's taking him on in that sense.
She's absolutely taking him on. And also there are other sort of more malign parts to her story as well. She alleges that somebody sort of threatened her and her daughter's safety in a car park at one point. Again, if there's any links back to, you know, Teen Trump on this would look terrible. But what strikes me fascinating about her, no matter how much she gets abused, she gets a lot of abuse about her profession, the fact she's an adult actress and all this thing, she is a woman who is not going away.
Right, making it difficult for Donald Trump. Would you have voted for Donald Trump if you'd been able to vote in that election?
I don't know. I mean, when I was watching the American election, I lived in the States for quite a long time, so I have a real affinity for the U.S. And when I was watching the election, for me it was a foregone conclusion during the entire process that I would have voted for Clinton, because I thought she had the experience to handle the position. But the closer the election got, the more I could feel a part of me think, yeah, you know, if I walked into that voting booth, I could imagine in a fit of pique checking Trump and saying to hell with it. And so, you know,
what would have caused the fit of pique if you said you identified with Hillary Clinton at that time? What changed then? What would have changed at the last moment?
I'm not happy with the tilt of the Democrats towards identity politics as a substitute for their conventional, what would you say, focus on the valid concerns of the working class.
OK, so I mean, you're unhappy with the identity politics that you say is associated with the Democrats in this particular case and Hillary Clinton. But doesn't Donald Trump indulge in identity politics to just the same degree, just different groups and different identities? Yeah,
but I would say that the sort of identity politics that Clinton engaged in cuts a lot closer to the bone for me because of my position in academia and the overwhelming predominance of the radical left amongst the humanities and social sciences. OK, well, that's your personal experience. But let's just take a look and a listen to Donald Trump talking here.
We have people coming into the country, or trying to come in. We're stopping a lot of them. But we're taking people out of the country. You wouldn't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people. These are animals. And we're taking them out of the country at a level and at a rate that's never happened before. And because of the weak laws, they come in fast. We get them, we release them, we get them again, we bring them out. It's crazy.
Right, just to explain, this is Donald Trump talking about illegal immigrants, but describing them, some of them, as animals. I mean, isn't that sort of rhetoric identity politics, just a different kind of identity politics?
I think you could make a case for that. I think it does appeal fundamentally to the distinction between conservatives and liberals, however, at a deep level, because conservatives are much more concerned with the integrity of borders and the fortification of structures within them, and liberals are more concerned with loosening the strictures between things. So I don't know if it's identity politics exactly with him so much as just appealing to his constituency.
But does that mean that you are sort of saying there is a case, a legitimate case, for calling some illegal immigrants animals?
Well, I suppose it depends on who he's referring to. If they're mass rapists, for example, then there might be a case. I mean, there are things that people can do that are more barbaric than anything an animal might conceive of. So I'm not justifying that, but I don't know precisely what he was referring to.
Well, I mean, I think Donald Trump plays a very base game. I think he does actually, ironically, pushing back against identity politics, I think he does do his own form of identity politics. And a lot of identity politics, you could argue, is about creating division. And he is the master of creating division. And his rhetoric around immigration, referring to human beings as animals.
Or Mexicans as rapists.
Well, the Muslim ban, as somebody from a Muslim background as well. But also at the same time failing to tackle things like gun crime. You know, there's a huge proportion of shooters in America who tend to be white men, but he's never prepared to take them on or challenge them in any way as well. His game is always division, and how he can pit people against each other. That's how he sort of does reasonably well at the moment.
All right, let's leave it there for the moment.